So in my last video, I looked at the 97 through 04 F150. Now I'm going to be taking a look at its F250 cousin. A few of the problems are shared on it, but for the most part this is a completely different truck. So aside from the looks, the biggest difference you're going to find in the F250 is that they were offered with diesels. In 1999 to 2003, it came with the 7.3 Powerstroke. This is a bulletproof engine. I mean, they're well known for their reliability. 400,000 or 500,000 miles is pretty damn common with them. Now, mid-year in 2003, they started offering the 6.0 Powerstroke. It was an all-new design that had a shit ton of horsepower and torque, but a shit ton of problems to go with it. So let's start with the most obvious problem. They put the motor in there with a goddamn shoehorn. It makes doing even simple repairs seem like a nightmare. So let's start with the variable vane turbo. It was really an ingenious design by Ford. There were fingers inside that were moved by a plate that was controlled by oil pressure. This allowed for maximum boost at any RPM. The problem comes in is that carbon builds up on the plate and it allows it to stick. Gives you all kinds of weird problems, low boost condition, that sort of thing. So the next thing is the FICM. It's the fuel injection control module, and it's also called the FICM. It's mounted on the driver's side valve cover, and it's sensitive to both heat and vibration. So they mounted it in the hottest, most vibrating place they could find. When it goes out, you get no start conditions, you get hard to start conditions, just all kinds of weird shit. It's fairly expensive to replace, $300 to $400 if you go aftermarket, $500 to $700 if you go with Ford. Not that hard to replace, but yeah, it's still expensive. The next big problem is going to be your EGR cooler. It's this guy right here, and it goes way the fuck up around the intake. Now in 03 this was a round design and rarely gave any troubles, but after 04 it became a square design and it leaked like a damn sieve. Typically you're going to find these deleted, but if you don't, it's going to be $1,000 to $1,500 just to get it done. Something else you're going to want to look at is right down in here. You see that blue hose? Well, that motherfucker likes to leak too. In the early years, they were orange. If you see an orange hose, run away from the truck because it's going to start leaking any second now, and it's a rat fucking bastard to get to. So hidden way the fuck up under there behind the turbo is the ICP valve and the IPR valve. They both control injection pressure and have basically the same symptoms as the FICM. Hard starts, no starts, generally making your life a living hell. After 03, they moved the ICP valve to the valve cover, but it's still an unreliable piece of shit. So another problem on these trucks is really from poor maintenance, but it's called the high pressure oil pump. Now the high pressure oil pump drives your injectors. It takes oil pressure and jacks it up to about 3,000 psi. These have a tendency to get clogged when you use shit filters or you don't change your oil on time. Sometimes they just fail on their own and they're a monster pain in the ass to get to. You got to take all this shit off the top of the motor and then get at it. It's very expensive too, $700 to $800 from the aftermarket and God knows how much from Ford. So the last big thing on these motors is going to be the head gaskets. Now, they went and used a torque-to-yield bolt. Now, for the uninitiated, a torque-to-yield bolt means that the bolt was torqued and it actually stretched it. And this applies clamping force. You typically see it on gasoline engines, not your super high compression diesel engines. So yeah, basically what happens if somebody starts screwing around with the power levels on this, the heads lift clean off the block. Now, once that happens, you basically have to pull the entire cab off from the frame and then put head studs in. It's a fucking nightmare, it's highly expensive, but it does bulletproof the truck. So yeah, in closing on these particular trucks, I would go for the 7.3 liter over the 6.0. The 6.0 just has so many problems that can go wrong with it. If you're not working it to death, you really shouldn't even bother with it. Thanks for watching, hope it helps.